The little Highland Railway is always kept busy. It receives good reviews from the passengers, and the engines never let those who rely on them down. Despite its glowing success, Baron Starkey wished he could do more with the railway. One morning he had an idea, so visited the engines.
I would like to start a new train. It will be called the Picnic Meadow,
he informed.
Every Sunday afternoon, passengers will be given a ride to Kilkenna Meadow. The train will wait for a few hours, and during that time they can have a picnic, stroll in the woods, relax, and most importantly, have fun,
he announced. The news brought back a memory to Gunther's smokebox.
One Christmas I pulled a very similar train. Yes, and you nearly ruined the festive holidays by leaving poor Father Christmas behind,
teased James Clifford. Baron Starkey sharply spoke up.
Yes, I know you did, Gunther, and that is why you shall be the one who pulls the Picnic Meadow,
he revealed. Gunther felt honored and very excited. He now had another job that would let him venture further down the line. The following Sunday came, and lots of people had arrived at the station. It was sunny and bright, a perfect day for a nice trip. Gunther was very excited and couldn't wait to depart. As soon as the passengers boarded, the guard blew his whistle. It was finally time to go. During the entire journey, Gunther was very careful with his new train and made sure that he pulled the coaches as smoothly as possible. Before long, they reached Kilkenna Meadow. The passengers happily explored the woods, while Gunther relaxed. Such a lovely day it had been. To his surprise, many hours had passed by. It was now time to go home. Gunther had enjoyed himself mostly, and couldn't wait until next week. The next morning, he told Frederick and Mortis about it. Mortis didn't seem very impressed.
The thought of being surrounded by that horrible countryside sends chills through my boiler,
he grumbled. Frederick, on the other hand, was more positive.
I passed Kilkenna Meadow many times back in my day. Such a great idea, bringing passengers there for a picnic, he praised. Gunther couldn't stop thinking about his new train. The Picnic Meadow, such a lovely name, isn't it? He muttered to himself.
Despite all that, he didn't get carried away. He remained attentive to the miners and didn't neglect his duties. That Sunday, his train was full yet again. The passengers loved spending time in the meadow. They brought sandwiches, buns, flasks of tea, and cold drinks. This continued week after week. One day, however, Gunther pulled into the station and was shocked to see one carriage.
Where's the other coach?
He asked.
Surely it will not be enough room.
The station master quickly responded.
Not many people are coming today, so no need for an extra coach, he informed.
Gunther was surprised.
Where is everybody?
He wondered to himself. At Meadow, the children played and the passengers seemed to enjoy themselves. Strangely, when it was time to go, they seemed relieved. Gunther assumed that today was a one-off.
Everyone will be back next week.
But they weren't. In fact, there were less. Returning to Carlone, he called to one of the passengers.
I will see you next week, won't I?
The lady sighed. I think I will give it a miss for a while, she said with a dreary tone. I'm feeling a little bored. The next morning, when Gunther returned from the mine, Baron Starkey was waiting.
Due to the decline of interest, I have no choice but to cancel the picnic meadow. Next week shall be the last train,
he informed regrettably. Gunther was devastated. He loved that train ever so much and looked forward to it every weekend. He got no sympathy from James Clifford.
Cheer up, Gunther. You still have your miners, and they are important. That picnic train was only a silly ride, destined to fail from day one.
On the last day, there was still only one coach, but more people came. Fred had never been to Meadow before, so Baron Starkey granted him permission to join them. Once the guard blew his whistle, they departed for the final time. Upon arriving, the people dawdled around as usual, while Fred decided to go exploring. Passing through some bushes, he found himself in a small woods. No one had ever ventured as far before. There was still plenty of time left, so Fred decided to stroll further. Wandering deeper and deeper into the woods, he observed his surroundings carefully to prevent getting lost. Eventually, there were less trees as the area grew more open. But what Fred clapped eyes on was breathtaking. Standing before him on a hill was an old stone tower. It looked abandoned and was surrounded by a wall, and steps led to its door. Fred couldn't stop gazing at its mighty structure. It was the last thing he expected to discover. Time was getting tight, so he had no choice but to return to the meadow. Soon Gunther brought his picnic train back to the station one final time. As the passengers left, Fred met with Baron Starkey and told him about the tower. Then they spoke to Gunther's driver. He assumed it was time to return to the shed, but surprisingly, both Fred and Baron Starkey boarded the coach.
What is going on?
He asked.
We must return to the meadow at once,
replied his driver. Gunther was bemused and couldn't figure out why. Stopping at the meadow's gateway, Baron Starkey and Fred got out at once and disappeared into the woods. Baron Starkey was amazed when he saw the old tower.
You see it too, don't you?
Fred asked.
I sure do. Hard to believe this mighty structure was hidden in these woods,
he gasped.
At least I wasn't hallucinating,
sighed Fred. Suddenly, Baron Starkey sprung to life.
Right. First thing tomorrow, I shall contact the council and inquire about this tar. Maybe all is not lost yet,
he hinted. A few weeks later, he visited Gunther one Saturday evening.
Sorry to disturb you at such a late hour, but I'm here to inform you that as of tomorrow, the picnic meadow shall resume,
he announced. Gunther was delighted. He had long thought that it was nigh a past memory.
Thank you, but what has changed?
He asked. Baron Starkey couldn't wait to tell him.
On the last trip, Fred went for a walk in the woods and discovered an old tar. I contacted the council and have been granted permission to use it for tours. We spent the last few weeks cleaning it up and ready for visitors and tourists who are more than excited to visit,
he said. So the next morning, Gunther collected his train. The other coach was back, and they were filled with passengers of all ages. Visiting Kilkenna Tar was a wonderful experience, and there was a tour guide to tell them all about its history. News travelled far and wide, and every week Gunther pulled a full train to and from the meadow. Kilkenna Tar was a great addition to the railway. After all, it could only be accessed by rail, so there was no chance of a bus stealing the passengers.